This astrophysicist died from methanol poisoning while working in Antarctica. It was originally considered the first murder to ever occur in the South Pole, but 25 years later, the case remains unsolved. Rodney David Marks was from Australia, receiving his PhD from the University of South Wales before traveling to Antarctica by the end of 1997, where he became a researcher at the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station. On May 11th of 2000, as he was walking from the remote observatory to the station's base, he suddenly became very ill, and the symptoms got worse and worse throughout the day. He began vomiting blood and was experiencing severe muscle pain. He would go see the base doctor at least 3 times. The doctor tried his best to treat Rodney, but they weren't able to come up with an official diagnosis. And then the next day, Rodney collapsed and passed away. He was 32 years old. No one could determine his cause of death for another 6 months. Because weather in the Antarctic is so cold and harsh through the majority of the year, they had to wait before a plane could safely come in and pick up Rodney's body. Once the climate finally allowed his remains to be sent for an examination, the autopsy performed in New Zealand would reveal the methanol in his system. Methanol being an industrial chemical used in the manufacturing of products including fabrics, paint, adhesives, and even pharmaceutical ingredients. Authorities, his family, his friends, no one believed that Rodney intentionally consumed the methanol himself. As far as everyone knew, he led a happy and successful life. Besides, if he was trying to kill himself, then why would he go seek help from the doctor? And so that left the only other theory of murder, prompting a criminal investigation led by New Zealand's veteran detective, Grant Wormald. And here's where things get weird and tricky. The South Pole is in a territory claimed by New Zealand, although not every country in the world acknowledges that New Zealand has ownership and authority over this land. The Amundsen Scott South Pole Station is a project operated by the US government's National Science Foundation, which subcontracts most of his work out to Raytheon, which is a US corporation. Sergeant Wormald spent at least 5 years pursuing the case. He had to go on the internet on his own to confirm the list of 49 employees who were at the station when Rodney died, and none of them were willing to provide any witness statements. Supposedly, the US Department of Justice was also involved in the investigation, but they couldn't get anyone from the National Science Foundation or Raytheon to talk either. Both organizations insisted it wasn't on them to provide any records or reports of what happened, since it wasn't in their jurisdiction. And so, with no insight from anyone who was actually there, in December of 2006, the coroner concluded his findings by stating that he found no evidence of a prank gone wrong, or suicide, or homicide. To this day, that's where the case stands. Back in Antarctica, standing at 8,500 feet above sea level in their Warcaster range, today there's an ice mountain called Mount Marks. It was named in honor of Rodney.